Tennis may look like an individual sport, but behind the scenes there's a team of experts analysing every aspect of the game.
With the help of the team behind Britain's top tennis pros, we're going to take a deep dive into all the strategies, techniques and tactics used at the top of the game to help you improve your game.
We talk about footwork a lot with players when it's to help with a weaker shot, whereas here Andy's actually using a couple of steps to put himself in a really good position to be able to hit a forehand, which gives him much more angle on the court. I want to take you through some of the basic patterns that we're going to need to know to have a good grand stroke kind of game. Okay.
Welcome to the National Tennis Centre and a brand new series of Inspired By. Now the grass court season is in full swing, and as you can hear, there is action behind us here. I'm thrilled to be joined by a couple of LTA experts. So welcome back to Coach Matt James, and for the first time we are joined by Ollie Fools, the LTA's lead strength and conditioning coach for men's tennis. Great to see you both this morning. So Matt, it is a really exciting time. Actually, is there a more exciting time in British tennis?
No, this is going to be the time where a lot of the players look forward to in the calendar. The fact there's a little bit of home advantage, they don't have to get on a flight to get to these tournaments. A lot of people staying at home to play Surbiton, and we can go and watch, which makes it a lot easier. But more importantly, obviously, there's a lot of points to play for, and we've got great grass courts here at the NTC that they can get ahead of the game and practice on. And yeah, no, it's a great time to be involved in tennis this time of year.
So Ollie, this week we are focusing on movement, but obviously changing surface. Why is movement such a key factor at this point in the season?
Well, players tend to have a short period of time to adjust and change their movement strategies from clay to grass. So on the clay, players tend to slide a lot more, you might see. They make contact with the ball slightly higher, meaning they're a bit more upright. And when they transition onto the grass, it's kind of the opposite. You've got a low bounce, you've got a fast bounce. As a result, players have to stay low much more consistently, they have to hit on the move, and this can place a lot of stress on the quads, the glutes and the lower back muscles. So when it comes to physical preparation around this time of year, the programme will look to strengthen those particular muscle groups, as well as maybe choosing things which can replicate the kind of low positions you might see on the grass court.
All right, so guys, let's take a look at your first game and what you selected.
So this is a clip from Murray at Surbiton the other day, and we like this clip a lot because, as I just mentioned, we talked about the importance of staying low on the grass court, and you see here most balls he's got really good hip bend, he's got really good knee bend, particularly as he makes contact with the ball on this slightly wider forehand. His hips don't fluctuate in terms of their height, they stay relatively the same, so that again places more kind of demand on those thigh muscles, on the glute muscles. Something different compared to the clay where maybe be slightly more upright.
So what would you have been doing in training, not necessarily on the court, but in the gym to facilitate this?
In the gym, again, they'll be strengthening kind of those areas, lower back, glute and thigh muscles. That could be basic exercises like maybe some squatting, some deadlifting, some single leg strength, so like holding lunges and split squats and things like that. And then practice the movement on court as well. I've actually seen some of his movement sessions recently, lots of high speed work, changing direction as well, decelerating and changing direction at very high speeds, trying to stay low and push out hard out the corner, which he's obviously very good at.
I kind of just wanted to highlight this forehand that Andy hits, because we talk about footwork a lot with players when it's to help with a weaker shot, whereas here Andy's actually using a couple of steps to put himself in a really good position to be able to hit a forehand, which gives him much more angle on the court, whereas if he's hitting a backhand he won't be able to open the court quite as much and the speed will probably be a little bit lower, so he's trying to use his forehand a little bit more on the grass to try and get a slightly easier ball. He's actually in a good position for the next one now from middle of the court.
Why is footwork so important with a weaker shot?
We have players who might be a little bit less efficient, so if their feet are a little bit narrow, they'll be a little bit more upright, more likely to be a little bit too close to the ball, and probably not use their body to actually get as much power from using their legs and the rest of their body. But obviously with these sort of players, it's then looking to use the footwork for their strengths as well to make them even stronger.
What's your next example for us?
So now we have a clip of Ryan Penniston, again from Surbiton, and I talked about the differences between clay and grass, and that on the clay players slide a lot more. On the grass we don't really want that to happen so much, so on this running forehand here, he's travelling at very high speeds. He then, after contact, has to decelerate. Usually on the clay they would slide, but here he has to take smaller steps, drop his hips down, has to decelerate hard, and then change direction at very high speed, which he does very well because then he reads the drop shot and is able to chase that down and win the point.
So again, in terms of practical training, what is he doing off court?
It's quite simple. So a few things. One, just by training on the grass, they get more confident at these types of movements just naturally, day by day. In separate movement sessions, they might essentially expose themselves to very high speed accelerations, decelerations, and change directions. Sometimes it might be quite general when they might not have a racket in hand, but then other times they might try and replicate this particular kind of pattern of play you saw here.
So Matt, what's your take on the example?
So we're just going to look a little bit at the split step, something a lot of coaches and players will think about, but I just want to sort of focus in on here. You've got his opponent, Vesely, who's about to contact the ball, and it's interesting that at contact that Penny's actually still in the air, so then it helps him, then as soon as he can see which way obviously the opponent's hit, he's then landing and able to then go. So timing of the split step is quite an important part of this footwork kind of cycle.
What a pickup that is from Penniston.
All right, fellas, and what have you selected next?
So here we have Katie Bolter. After she hits the serve, she does a good job of getting back behind the baseline, ready for ball three. If she didn't get in a good position here and her opponent hits a good return right at the baseline, she would have struggled to probably hit a good return. But in this situation, she's got back behind the baseline by pushing hard on that right leg in a really good athletic position, ready to move in any direction.
Lovely touch from Bolter.
All right, fascinating stuff. Well, Ollie, I think that's it from you. Thank you very much. And Matt, I think you're going to put me through my paces and show me some of this kind of movement on court.
So we've just seen some really good footwork patterns from our players on the grass courts. So now what I want to do, I want to take you through some of the basic patterns that we're going to need to know to have a good grand stroke kind of game. Okay, so if you've got time on the forehand, what we're going to be looking at is actually getting your left foot down the court, okay? So then you're able to go through the ball, ideally towards target, and actually finish coming through.
Forward.
Okay, coming forward. Okay, what we don't want, what we see sometimes, you know, at clubs and beginner level is people being a little bit open too much and they're having to do a lot with their arm. So we want a lot of work to do with the legs, okay? And then actually the arm is the skill part.
Right.
Okay. If you then have a slightly tougher ball, okay, so you're having to move out, it's fine to be a little bit open because you're having to move. And then what you'll do then is kind of shuffle with the feet, okay? So you'll go here, shuffle, and it's good then because I'm still neutral, I can then recover.
Right. And
All
get
right.
your balance back to central.
Yes. The next one, so we're thinking now it's a slightly even tougher ball. So we're getting further out. So you might have to go, again, same thing, you're starting open, but you're going into a crossover, okay? So from here now, I'm crossing my legs, but same thing, I'm finishing open, wide base, just to help me get back with the recovery which we've done before.
And is the crossing again because of the momentum in you reaching?
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Okay, because again, we don't want to get caught here, almost be too close to the ball and go up.
You made it look really, really easy, so I'm excited to give it a go.
Okay, so do you remember the first one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Where you've got a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and ideally probably a bit more of an attacking shot. Okay, so your foot's coming down the court and then you're trying to finish down the court as well. Perfect. Good. I want you to think about you're leaning through the ball rather than your leg going here. For the next one now, we're going actually a bit of open stance and then it's a shuffle. So what I want you to do is almost open, almost like opening the gate, and then your swing takes you. That's it. Best one.
Sounded
Okay.
good too.
Best one by a mile. Now let's do, very similar, is the crossover.
cross, yeah.
Okay, so again, we're thinking it's just a slightly tougher ball. We want to still move through the ball, okay, and be in a good position to be able to recover.
Oh.
That's it. I'm just looking at your footwork,
Oh.
okay?
I'm not. I'm looking where the ball's going.
You're worried about the ball.
Yeah.
But you're actually doing a really good job of going here, crossover, okay, and then actually, can we do the same back as well? Go. Good. Excellent. Excellent.
All right, we'll leave it at that.
That's good. That's really good.
Matt, I loved that. Thank you so much, good game.
Handshake, nice.
Thanks so much for teaching me that. I found that so interesting and I can't wait to put it into practice when I next step on court. Thank you for joining us, and do look out for our next episode and check out more exclusive content on Advantage.